in their own driveway, mind you, but the arse end of it is on this supposed, invisible median strip that the council owns, okay? And you're blocking this kind of fictitious, invisible piece of land. And I'm sure that the governments make a median strip so that they control access to your land, right? And so anyway, that's what that was all about. So these guys, and just to kind of formalise it, they decided to become king and queen of their own state, and so everyone can do that.
Wouldn't that exclude you from taxation and stuff?
You can make up your own rules. You can do whatever you like because you become what we all are, sovereign. We're all sovereign.
At the same time, if you did that, wouldn't they be able to say, well, we're not going to supply things like power and water?
Sure. And so what he had done is he'd actually gone and made agreements, which you can do as well. You go and make an agreement with a utility supplier or with a phone company, and you have an agreement with them to supply something. Yeah, but I don't think they weren't paying council rates.
Yeah.
It's all about agreements. Now we're going to pop back to these credit card ones. Let me just open this up here. It doesn't matter if we drop off on the recording.
What do you think would happen if this got out in the public and everybody started doing it? Would they be able to change the law?
You can't change laws, okay, because we don't own the laws.
Would they use
what I would be afraid of happening is of opening a Pandora's box and having subversive groups, or perhaps even Vikings, or misusing the system. Because the key point in all of this stuff is that we all have to take back our sovereignty. We have to take back our responsibility for our actions, and we basically do. I mean, when I journey on the roads, on the common ways of the land, I still abide by the general speed limit, even though I'm not subject to it. I still accept, and there's a certain level of responsibility that everyone else is doing this. I stop at the red lights. I do all those things because it's the naturally accepted kind of passage.
So like the fact that people out there have bothered to say do experiments or tests into and research what is a safe way to conduct yourself. And so you're taking that as
I accept. I agree basically to go along with that, even though I'm not subject to it. For example, if they said I was speeding, okay, it wouldn't apply to me. So I generally accept, the status quo, and by doing that I take responsibility for my own actions.
Like you were saying before, the problem in this being is that people who aren't generally we'll say law abiding, but people who go out and deliberately do the wrong thing by other people would be able to then use this to manipulate the system to get off. Whereas
if they studied it and knew how to do it,
your average person who treats other people well and isn't a bad person.
So could you go to the extreme, go out and murder someone, get arrested and use these techniques to stay out of jail?
Oh, I won't answer it. I won't answer those questions. However,
wait a minute.
Anyone can.
In theory.
In theory.
Sorry, you can't just go through all of this.
But for those people who might be listening,
out of answering a question like that.
But I don't want to prompt anyone to do anything. You can see what I'm coming from.
No, but you've got to be clear about where they're coming from. You can't sort of outline
in theory,
like this, and
surely.
Then when you're challenged at a point that's a really bit too hard, sort of duck out of it and say no.
Okay, well, in theory, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
You could any one of us could take a gun and go and shoot someone, right? But it's not morally right to do so.
Back in the instance where you're in court and the judge wasn't asking you those questions, you're responding in a way where you're putting the question back on him. What happens in the end of that court session?
Dismissed.
He just says, court dismissed, thrown out the case.
Yeah, because he's not able to gain jurisdiction over you. Yeah, so.
But you could just do a little slip up with one word, and then he's got you.
Yeah, you'd have to really work to get back out of it again. You know, if once he's got you, yeah, it would be difficult, but you could do it. But the best way is to stay out of it, and the best way is not to go to court, obviously, with good paperwork. So I'm going to just try and open up here.
I guess the if people had intent to follow that path and initiate all the processes, primarily for let's call it antisocial behaviour, I think they'd probably find it a lot easier to do what criminals, corporate criminals to street criminals do all the time, and just do it anyway, and just use the...
And just get a really good lawyer to get you off anyway.
yeah, whatever. So that's probably, for them easier, just, pay some money to get the right actor to...
Yeah. Okay. I've located the files now. I'm just going to open these up and read you something here. Now this is getting back to the issue of credit card fraud and credit card debt. Now there's no such thing as debt. I just want to make that very clear. There is no such thing as debt. This is a notice that I put together for a friend of mine who was in, as I said, $47,000 of debt, and he received back a notice to say that the balance was zero after I'd finished this. Now, this is a conditional acceptance and debt verification notice.
So he didn't have to get rid of his entity or anything.
No.
He just had to use these letters.
I basically acted as his agent.
Yeah.
And I think we did about 3 or 4 letters. Yeah. So, what I basically wrote for him was this. I refer to the default notice dated 11th of March 2006 and wish to advise that your negotiable instrument has been accepted for value upon proof of claim, which may be substantiated by forwarding the following verification of debt details within 3 days, 72 hours, of receipt of this notice to the address listed below. Number 1. Proof of the existence of an account or contract in the actual flesh and blood name of John Doe, duly signed and witnessed by both parties, not a unilateral agreement, and upon which signed page there is reference to the entire agreement. Note: John Doe is an artificial entity, a limited liability legal fiction trademark, which constitutes valuable intellectual property, and all rights, title, and interest are reserved. Number 2. Proof of claim that you are the current holder of the original above-mentioned debt instrument and that it has not been on-sold to another party. Remember I talked before about the debt being on-sold. They no longer have the right to claim. Number 3. A copy of the actual accounting whereby Bank SA has incurred a loss of the alleged debt. And number 4. An invoice, not a statement, for any amount of money allegedly owing or owed to Bank SA by John Doe. Now at the bottom of there I've got a disclaimer. So here are the things. Now I know that they can't provide any of those, and these things vary. Sometimes I like to put on there as a number 5, proof of claim that there is any lawful money in circulation backed by anything of value, because that really fucks them up, right? Can I say that on the air? Fuck up. Now,
Hell yeah.
there's a disclaimer. Sorry?
I was gonna say. So you could go out tomorrow into a bank, get a $500,000 loan, go buy a house, and then send a letter of these letters and be rid of the debt, but still have the house.
We come back to force here, because what they would attempt to do is to extort the physical property away from you, because there is a certain maxim of law of ownership. You know, finders keepers kind of thing. So what they kind of do in those things is they try to hire people to take away the property away from you. It's all about ownership, physical ownership of something, right? Plus, I would say that they also own the deed, that you don't actually have the deed yet.
Right.
Okay, so it's a difficult situation in those sense. It would be different if you had a credit card and you'd gone out and bought something and they couldn't actually physically locate the item to try and repossess it, you know, during this period of redemption. Yeah.
But you were saying his was a home loan Could they not try and take the house?